Welcome back. I don't know if you've seen this, but the Buddhists will make these humongous mandalas, which are so beautiful. It's really a painstaking process. They're making it with colored sand, and they have multiple monks hovering over this mandala for hours and hours, just dripping one piece of sand after another until they make this gargantuan mandala full of meaning, full of interesting symbols and spiritual understandings that are contained inside of this mandala. And then they let it get washed away or blown away, or they sweep it away with a broom. After thousands of hours, they just sweep it right away. And when you look at something like that and you say, oh my God, I spent thousands of hours working on this thing, putting my whole life into this thing, and now with one sweep of the broom, it's gone. And you have to say, all that hard work was for nothing. And you're exactly right. In fact, that's the entire point. The point is impermanence. And that's really the nature of the world that we live in, isn't it? That's the lesson which the monks are trying to soak into their consciousness. Everything that I'm doing, it's actually for nothing. Like the majority of everything that I do in my life is for nothing. Isn't that a crazy lesson to learn? And you might say, Forrest, I was living in Altadena and the fires came and it burned up my house and everything that I own. And so I have a first-hand experience of the impermanence of life, that everything that I had built up in this world was swept away with one fire. And sometimes we might take that personally. Life is so cruel. Life is after me. Life is hurting me. Life is doing these things to me. But what if it's not personal? What if it's the very fabric of the universe that you are living in? And I think that's exactly what Buddha was realizing. That the very nature of the dream world that you find yourself in is in a constant state of flux. And isn't that what modern science is telling us? Look, everything that we can look at in this world is reducible down to protons, neutrons, electrons, which is just a wave or a particle, but a wave of energy just floating around. The whole universe that you look at and you say, this is solid. It's not solid. You're wrong. You're dead wrong. It's in a constant state of flux. Its very nature is impermanent. So it's not about you. It's not about anything personal. Nobody's out to get you. It's simply, I put the weight of my life on that which is in a constant state of flux. The only constant in a world of change is change itself, right? So I thought I could build my life on top of this thing, but obviously I can't. It doesn't work that way. It's in a constant state of transition. So what can we do about this puzzle of life which is constantly offered to us, right? Well, let's get into it. Now, what most people do when life shows them, hey, I'm not solid, I'm not real, I am not permanent. We build our hopes on top of something, that something disintegrates right in front of our eyes. We realize this is not solid, it is not dependable. And how most people in the world deal with that is they distance themselves from that truth And they run over here and they distract themselves with something else. And then they slowly build up hopes that maybe I can depend on something else in this world and I'll build up something else in this world. And so they forget the lesson because the lesson is so big. It is hard to wrap our minds around it. And very often they cannot even begin to do that work. But maybe you as a yogi, you get it. You say, oh my God, yeah, obviously, I can't depend on anything in this external world. It's not going to work. You say, I get it. But did you really get it? Because this is not a lesson which you're going to one and done. It's usually a lesson that we have to get over and over and over and again. Hermann Hesse wrote A Stranger in a Strange Land, and he had this gorgeous word. He's this fictitious alien coming down to Earth, and isn't that a wonderful perspective to look at how humans think about things and go, this doesn't make sense. And he did this over and over again, and he would grok something. He wouldn't just understand it. No, he would grok it. So the question is, maybe I understand that I can't depend on this outward world, but do I really grok it? And that's something that we have to get to by repeating this lesson over and over, because it's such a huge lesson, right? We can't depend on the outward world. We have to depend on something higher. So maybe we know that, but do we grok it? To me, Jesus said it to his students just perfectly. Do not store up your treasure in this world. Okay, yeah, you're going to build a life. You're going to build a career. You're going to build a house. You're going to build a family. You're going to build all these wonderful good things. And yet do not store up your treasure in that. Store up your treasure in heaven. Where's heaven? Your upper nervous system. That's heaven. Store up your treasure there. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking to Arjuna, and I just love what he says. He says it over and over again throughout the Gita. He says, look, some people do it this way, and some people do it this way, but the yogi does it this way. Oh, Arjuna, be thou a yogi. Oh my God, sets my hair on fire. I love it. The yogi stores up some of that treasure in heaven, and that storing up over and over again, that coming back, being the holy potato in deep meditation over and over again, finding the things which are not dependent on the exterior world. All right, happiness is dependent on your circumstance, exterior world. So when I get something great, should I just reject it? No, be grateful. Gratitude is transcendent. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you to the higher self. I have received this thing in my life. Isn't that wonderful? Oh my God, I built up this house in this life. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you so much. Oh my God, I have this family. Oh my God, thank you so much. Gratitude is transcendent. Love is transcendent. Joy is transcendent. Peace, tranquility, equanimity, bliss, these are transcendent. So it's not a one and done. It is a building. Don't build up your treasure in this world. Build up this treasure inside, internally, in your upper nervous system, in these deep states and this deep brain access that you are widening. Bit by bit, I come into meditation, I find a little bit of joy and I soak it up. And the next time, my capacity has increased. I come into meditation, I find a little bit of peace, a little bit of tranquility, and I soak it up. I'm the holy potato, and I soak it up. And my capacity increases. In the next meditation and in the next meditation, I find the same, a little bit easier, a little bit faster, because my capacity is growing and growing for that as I continue to soak it up. And I'm just compounding that interest, that building up of my treasure in heaven. I'm compounding that interest every single time that I soak it up. So I start with my own parasympathetic nervous system. I feel the 4 proofs and I soak in that, and they compound. And that gives me the freeze response. When Patanjali talks about interiorization, he's talking about the freeze response. That process of interiorization takes place with the freeze response. Okay? I soak that into myself. I compound my interest. These are yogic skills, and these are so reliable versus the outward world. I'm opening my access. I'm getting into my deep brain. These things are transcendent. So very slowly, if your life was a scale, and I was out here in the outward world, and very slowly I am shifting that weight over to the internal side of myself, into the upper nervous system. I'm learning this skill of storing my treasure more and more into heaven, into that which is eternal. And that's the question. Am I basing my weight, the weight of my heart, the weight of my mind, the weight of my sanity, and am I basing my weight on that which is in constant flux? Or am I basing my weight on that which is eternal? Love, peace, joy, compassion, gratitude, equanimity, bliss. The Kriya Yoga program is a bliss program. We hunt down the bliss and we soak it in. Over and over and over again. We're looking for all of these eternal qualities. That's your treasure. That's what you're building up in heaven, in your upper nervous system. In your upper nervous system and the deep brain. You're building that treasure until so much of your weight is in that heaven that things fluctuate in the outward world, and more you go, yeah, it's a constant flux. It's a crazy world. What did you expect? You get it. Now you are grokking it. Before, you understood it. It's like, oh, yeah, this place is like this, right? You got it, right? But now, because the weight has shifted to that which is eternal, you grok it. That makes all the difference, doesn't it? So I hope you loved this. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you.